you guys for interviewing me. I mean, y'all's media footage of the 22 Mohawk guys jump is incredible. I love watching y'all jump footage. So cool. Jon Harmon. I was a sergeant in the 82nd Airborne Division, second of 508, and then 473rd. I was actually born in a place called Maine, over in the U.S., right? It's one of the northern states. And then when I was 11, my whole family moved to the West Coast, which is the other side of the country. Because my family were traditionally all farmers and loggers. There was a big environmental movement in the early 2000s in Maine, and it kind of shut down the logging industry for a while. So my family moved everything out to the West Coast and started up anew out there. Yep, so I grew up on a farm, had a long family, like a legacy of people in the military. My grandpa was in the military. My other grandpa on my mom's side, or my father's side, was in the military. His brothers were in World War I, ambulance driver and so forth. So there's always the need to serve my country kind of thing growing up. And turned 18 and graduated high school. That's what I did. And my first unit went through Army Infantry School, went to Airborne School down here at Fort Benning in Georgia. Once I got done with that, I got assigned to Fort Bragg. From Fort Bragg, I did a few more jumps, and then deployed to Afghanistan right away. And back in 2012, from there on that deployment, it was pretty kinetic, pretty gnarly, and I ended up getting wounded pretty bad, losing both my legs. I stepped on a pressure plate. Got wounded, of course, came back to Walter Reed, which is our big medical treatment facility for amputees in our military. There's two big ones. There's Walter Reed, and then there's Walter Reed, and there's San Diego. And my family was closer to the East Coast, so I ended up going to Walter Reed because it was like the best place, according to the doctors, for amputees. So I ended up stationed there and pretty much taught me how to walk again. Got my prosthetics. Ended up doing about a year and a half of therapy there before I came back on active Army orders. I wanted to stay in the military. Did another 3.5 years doing that. I was actually, they sent me back to Fort Bragg. I worked for headquarters for a little bit, 82nd Airborne Corps, which is like the major command that the 82nd falls under. Their Corps commander and their liaison office asked me if I wanted to be the Corps liaison up at Walter Reed, which was where I was already at the time. I'd been a wounded guy there, so it just naturally fit. So I got to go back to the hospital that I was treated at and work there with the wounded guys coming in, organizing their care and facilitating their families coming in, and essentially being the intermediary between their unit and the medical unit that they were stationed with at the time when they were receiving treatment. So that was a pretty incredible gig. I really enjoyed working there. Yeah, from there, in 2019, I ended up getting out of the Army right before the whole COVID pandemic hit. Just wanted to get out of the Army. They were trying to make me reclass something other than infantry. I was like, absolutely not. I will not reclass something that's not infantry, right? So ended up getting out, went back to school, got my bachelor's degree in national security studies, and then my master's degree in military history, strategic theory. And it's from Norwich University up in Vermont. It's one of our big military schools. Yeah, from there, I've just been studying, researching, writing scholarly journals. My thesis was on the Civil War and light infantry tactics. So, with what's been going on around the world, I have a lot of material to write about. Been working on my personal memoirs and so forth. Then last year, one of my good buddies, Ranger Regiment, my older brother, fought with him in one of their Iraq deployments, and he reached out through my older brother, and then my older brother to me, pretty much asked me like, "Hey, you want to jump out of a plane again?" Like, how the am I going to do that? I don't have any legs, man. Like, no one's ever done it as double amputee before. It was kind of interesting, circumstance. And so I thought about it for a couple of weeks, and I called my prosthetic doctor. He was like, "Hey, man, like, this is possible." He's like, "I don't see why not." He's like, "You do skydiving." He's like, "Why can't we design a leg or design a prosthetic setup that'll make it conducive to airborne operations and static line peel, I think." And so we come up with these little short prosthetics. So I'm like 5 feet tall when I jump. I'm like a little emperor penguin waddle into the door. And they work great. I mean, I can get out of the plane good. I can PLF decently. I still wear like padded pants, almost like the smoke jumpers do when they jump, just in case I land on a runway or the tarmac, the wind's bad. But it's pretty incredible to jump again. One of those things I never thought I'd ever be able to do. Going over and jumping in Normandy this year was the biggest honor of my life, hands down.
That was the 81st?
82nd. Yep, it was 82nd this year for Operation Overlord.
That must have been amazing. And in the plane, do they give you the tour?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm on the door most times. If there's other guys that are in the plane, because we were experimenting, because I got a couple other paratroopers that are missing limbs that want to jump now, and so generally I'm on the door. But if they have to like literally throw someone out, like like door bag them, there's a couple guys that are paralyzed that still jump, with water jump. They throw them first, and then I go out. Following you guys for a little bit now. Haven't had a chance to meet a lot of the guys yet because I haven't been down to Florida in that area. Yeah, what you guys are doing is incredible, man. I mean, the retreat you guys are doing for LEO, first responders, military. I mean, all that. The whole. I mean, they're all very different walks of life, but trauma's trauma. So going through a program like that identifies that, and then helps the individuals heal, and then gets them jumping out of planes to give them that little reminder of who the you are kind of thing, which everyone needs now and then, is incredible.
So, yeah, your experience with the military, if you had your life over, would you do that again? Would you go down the military route?
Oh, yeah, I do in a heartbeat. I would, I'd just step a couple inches to the right. Oh, here's my wall of awesomeness, by the way.
I think we all need one of those.
Oh, boy. Yeah, boy, we do. You're talking about your guys. Here's that's my machine gun team right there.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
This is my.
So, so coming back and learning that you have now this disability, and how do you reprogram your life?
So the good thing is that very young age, I was exposed to a lot of military guys, so I kind of learned younger from my grandpa, who's a Korean warrior, a guy that vets have their own little their niche when they get back from war and combat. Like the whole warrior in the garden thing, that's I take that a little literally. I have a huge garden. I've got full of tomatoes right now. It's growing all time. I've got watermelons pumping out. I bake my own bread. I do all my own canning, all the old school stuff. So, like that in itself, being able to create life and grow things after you go to combat and all you do is just destroy and kill things for years, right? To be able to grow something from the seed and watch it in your hands, and then to be able to feed your family with it later on, it's such a medicinal thing for me. And that's it's one of those things where if I'm having a rough day, because we all combat guys, I mean, some once in a while a guy will bullshit and be like, oh, I'm completely cured. No, that just sticks with you forever. It's just in different degrees. But whenever it's a little too much, go outside and get lost in my garden for a while.
And obviously you're quite an outgoing, extroverted person. So that's a gift in its own, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I try. I'm pretty damn introverted, but with the right people, I'm pretty extroverted.
Okay. So that as well. So then, coming back to the unit.
They were over there fighting for another 6 months before they got home. Thankfully, they didn't lose anybody else. They had a couple more people get injured pretty bad. One guy was a triple amputee, but nobody else got killed. So they were over there. And the good thing is, my guys, after the big mass casualty incident we were in, my guys got moved and replaced. Well, not really replaced. They had another unit from our major command come in and take over the battle space and reinforce them, because I mean we had 12 casualties. So there's a lot of dudes that medevac from a light infantry. So I was an ammo bearer. I did a little bit of AG stuff. My gunner was a guy named Scott, and my team leader was a guy named Kobe. Yeah, I wasn't a sergeant downrange. I was a sergeant later on. So when I stayed in, I was look at the years of my dates. I kind of forget now, but I was a private, of course, specialist, which is like the E4 rank, and then a sergeant after that. Yep, we're very close. There's about 2/3 of the platoon are very, very acceptable. Everyone else is, just doing their own thing, but we keep good tabs on them to make sure okay. It was very rewarding, because it was a couple situations where, like when I was laying in the hospital, I had the staff sergeant, I forget his name now. He was from the Warrior Transition Unit. He came in my room like, dude, this is my first deployment. All I wanted to do my whole life was be an airborne infantryman, right? What am I going to do now? And he unbloused his boots, lifted his trousers up. He was a double amputee. It's all carbon fiber and metal. I was like, oh my God. Like, if you fight to stay in, you can stay in. And that's what I ended up doing. And I was able to do that for a couple guys that were blown up, and especially this one captain. I'm sorry, he was a lieutenant at the time. I believe he retired as a captain. But anyway, I saw him in the ICU at Wolf Reed, and he lost a leg and got pretty chewed up from shrapnel. And big West Point football player. He's like, dude, what am I going to do now? Like, this is all I've done my whole life was to, lead men in combat. And he was in an engineer unit, so a little more, technical. And I was like, dude, it doesn't end here, man. You just gotta. I did the same thing. I'm blousing my trousers, lifting them up, and he's like, "Oh my God, that's insane." But so it was being able to do that and just seeing the hope on the guys' faces. I mean, when you're laying in a hospital bed missing limbs when you're in your 20s, not a very hopeful situation other than the fact that you're alive. But the part with the first responders too is they go through all the shit that we go through in combat. I mean, you know, they're not ripping gunfights for 8 hours, I hope, but they go through the same trauma, and then they have to go home to their family every night.
Yeah,
and I mean, at least we're over there and we can compartmentalize the majority of that shit, and then bond box and get home. Yeah.
Amazing, like when you come out of a firefight and everybody's was in the same conflict, and yet everybody has a different story. That's
Yep. It's an incredible part about how the brain does that kind of imprinting of like where it can turn off and turn on to kind of protect itself. Because there was a lot of guys, like I was conscious when I got blown up, so I remember 90% of what happened. But there was a couple little bits and pieces when one of my other guys got blown up next to me where I didn't quite remember. And like I was in the hospital in Germany, like where the Brandon at? You know, I saw him get wounded, and then like my guys were like, "Dude, you watched him get like blown up the third time and like die." I was like, "What? Really?" I'm like, "I can't remember that at all." So I had to piece a little bit back together. But it's bizarre. My older brother's a combat instrument as well, and he's got an interesting story of where he was in his first gunfight in Iraq, and in his memory, what he remembers is they took contact. He hopped into the gun turret. He dumped a couple mags, and then they kept going. But what he actually did, in reality, like he was talking to one of his guys later on, because he always felt a little guilty the fact that he didn't remember engaging with the 50 cal, right? Well, apparently, after talking to some of his guys, they're like, "No, man, you burned like 3 belts to that 50 cal. Like we took contact and you shackled her and just kept singing." And he's like, "Really? What?" Bizarre, you know, so it's like this human defense.
Yeah, and you're a very positive person in that, and particularly what do people say when they hear that you're still jumping as an amputee? It's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people think I'm full of shit, honestly, and then I'll show them a video and they're like, "Oh my God, dude." Well, what I thought was really funny was when I think it was one of the big global airborne pages on social media. It might have been WTSU, like the Global Airborne Community page. They shared it, right? It was my Normandy landing when I came down at PLF and stuff in Argonville, and the comments were hysterical. People were like, "Why would you land like that? That's the worst way you're supposed to." Blah 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 blah. Just ripping me to shit, right? And then finally, someone commented, they're like, "Hey man, you realize this guy's self-led, right? He can't do like a normal PLF." And everyone's just like,
Yeah.
like, "Oh shit!" Like, so it's still surreal. I mean, there are days where like I wake up and I feel like I'm in a fever dream. Like I'm just seeing that jump door again, and going out of that as an amputee is mind blowing. I'd say my big advice to people like that that are struggling with mental health, suicide, or even suicidal ideologies from like combat, and even just PTSD as a collective whole without combat, first responders, firefighters, and so forth. I understand it because I've been there. I did a long weekend stay in the psych ward myself because I had a really low point when Afghanistan fell. Learned some good mental health techniques there, like grounding and so forth. From there, I think the biggest piece of advice I can give people coming after me to keep their headspace and timing good to go. You got to have a purpose. You have to have a purpose. So many people get out of the military. They're not self-driven. They've been told what to do for 20 years of their career, right? And so now they have all this freedom. And I see it a little bit with my wife, but she's still active, right? She's getting ready to transition out into the National Guard side. So you have all this free time, but you don't have anyone telling you what to do. And so people equate that as not having a purpose, and then you start getting depressed. You just go down that dark spiral. My advice for them would be to find a purpose, because there's a story of a Vietnam vet that was at the Big Red Barn, which is a big nonprofit, like veteran first responders too, I believe. Like, I wouldn't say a rehab center, but it's a retreat. Right? You can go to this big Red Barn. They have all these programs for the gardens and all this. Well, they had this Vietnam vet. His wife passed away. He was a combat guy too. And he was super depressed. He was wheelchair bound. I can't remember if he was injured or not. But apparently he had, he was like, "All right, my wife's dead. Today's the day." Trying to kill himself. Well, he went out one last time to like roll around his house and just see everything. I don't know, just smell the grass one last time. And he noticed one of his wife's tomato plants was still growing and had like a couple little green tomatoes on it, right? that was kind of his moment. He looked at that tomato and he's like, okay, if I keep that tomato alive, I can probably keep myself alive. From there, I'm not too emotional. Sorry. He replanted and regrew his wife's garden. That was what kept him alive. And that's what he needed, was that little bit of purpose from that one tomato plant.
Do you have a faith? Do you believe in the Almighty God?
Oh, I do. I don't really adhere to any hardcore doctrine, but I definitely believe, and definitely there's definitely a creator. There's definitely creating powers. There's something there. Like we've all seen. Anyone that's been on the battlefield has definitely felt that. That's all we can do. I mean, because it's our societal duty, whether what country you're from. I mean, those of us that are war fighters, right? You're a few years older than me, right? I'm in my 30s. You know, it's our duty to help the next generation of war fighters, like our grandparents and our fathers did for us. And if we don't do that, and if we don't step up to the plate and help them for the next wars that'll come, especially with, oh my God, especially with our political leaders nowadays in the geopolitical field, it's an absolute insanity. But we have to be there. We got to be there for these kids, and we got to be there for these guys, because if we don't, they're going to be lost. Here in America too, it's gotten to the point where you almost get this, like, people in general, like, get this vibe of almost like fatalistic ideas, right? Where they think where, oh, everything's so bad that my vote doesn't matter, or I'm just a peon in the gear, or a cog in the gear, right? It's like, no, that's the worst attitude you can have, because that's all totalitarianism needs to take hold. There's good men doing nothing, including thinking their vote doesn't matter, or such and such.
Yeah, and that's just getting involved and do something, you know? So, like, for me, I've been in and out of faith, and looking and trying to understand forgiveness and repentance and all these things that until you understand that God is a loving God. He's not holding us accountable. It is what it is. You went through, at this time of your life, you went through as a decision you made. You follow that decision. And yes, there's going to have adverse effects. There's going to be, but that's life. You know?
That's in anything in life, yeah.
And I think for me, the big thing was reading the thing called Footprints. And this guy's walking along the beach and he's saying, you know, I walked with Jesus and two sets of footprints in the sand. And then in the hardest time in my life, there was only one set of footprints. And you left me at that hardest time. And Jesus said, no, I didn't leave you. That's when I was carrying you.
Yeah.
For me, that's where I look to God, is that He can help me in my situation. He can help me to help others. Those that are broken, that are destitute, that might not have had the same thing. And upbringing, you know, you get all these different types of people that, and especially when coming into the military.
Oh yeah, it's just a melting pot of every walk of life that you can imagine.
Yeah, and the haircut makes you all.
Yeah, we all look the same. Yep.
Just start from grass too. So, going forward, do you have any children?
No, so my wife's still in the military, so she's still really busy. So when she gets out of the military, we're planning on starting a family. It's just with Army hours the way they are, they haven't gotten any less. So she's busy all the time. So. The good thing is we've only moved twice. Well, she's moved more before we met, but together we've moved twice. And here in Georgia, this is the last move. So we're finally good to go. We bought a nice house and everything, and don't have to worry about moving again, thankfully.
You're going to probably see you in Florida these days.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Would love to jump with you guys one of these days. I got 2 jumps in October with the Liberty jump team I'm doing down in Texas when they go through their refresher course. Because I got a couple guys from my old unit that are actually getting back in the door and jumping. So I'm looking forward to jumping with them again. I'm manifesting for a jump with a water jump with Phantom in November. And so that's awesome. I can't wait. I've never done a water jump before, whether in division or inside. And so I'm pretty nervous, but I'm really excited because landing in water, how bad can it feel like unless it was a gator, right?
One of our tech fits in a gator. I think it disappeared rather than quickly.
That'd be funny to be sitting there in the water and my wife would be like, oh my God, the gator got me, and like stick my legs up.
And that's the big thing about humor, isn't it? There's always humor with the golf. There's always that banter.
Oh yeah, yeah. In the middle of gunfights, dudes would be cracking jokes nonstop. It was the most surreal thing to see in real time.
You're not fighting for your country at that time. You're fighting for the golf.
Yep. Yeah, you're literally trying to not die, and you're fighting for the dude next to you and the dude to your left and right.
And that's it. Is once you come out of that, you don't realize that this you had everything going on. Your ears, your head, everything.
Yep.
Now they're talking about gunfire.
Yeah.
The spelling, the nouns.
No, yeah, the toxic odors and all that. And I mean, I'm deaf. I can hear a little bit, but I'm pretty deaf in this ear from getting blown up and from just laying next to a machine gun being linked into it. Because people don't realize, and Hollywood tries, but I mean, Spielberg is really the only director that can even get it remotely close. Combat is so loud. I mean, it is unbelievably loud. I mean, I've been in positions and ripping gunfights, of course, being on a machine gun team. Machine gun's really loud and it's continuously loud. But I mean, we're like 10 feet from each other and we're like yelling, using arm signals, all kinds of shit, just to try to do basic communications because we couldn't hear over the radio. And there were times I had to step away from the machine gun just do radio calls because it was just so loud. The movie, probably Platoon, at the end, Charlie Sheen, he's talking to one of the dudes in Platoon, and it's like right before the big final gunfight happens. And I think his name was King, and he's talking to Charlie Sheen. He's just like, you know what, man? He's like, we get through this jungle. He's like, every day of our lives is gravy.
All you got to do is make it out of here. It's all gravy. Every day, the rest of your life, gravy.
Like, I remember being in combat downrange and hearing that line from that movie. Of course, the movie about Vietnam, but it's the same premise, still effects, right? And thinking, you know what, every day will be gravy, which is a good concept to have. But, like I said, everyone needs their purpose. Otherwise, my God, their life is not great. You go wandering around like a blind man with a drinking problem for years trying to figure out what he's supposed to do. And then when you finally find it, man, it clicks.
Thank you, John. Thank you for your time today. Really honored you and spoke to you. Jump.
Definitely, John. And when do you guys normally jump? When are your events normally? Like the calendar?
The 12th, and then March, we go back in March.
You said, cat's meowing. You said October 12th?
Yeah. We done
okay.
For that 10th to the 18th.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to see what hit you guys up on the jump team page and see what y'all schedule are, because that coincides with the jumps I got to do, so I'm probably gonna miss that. But yeah, if you guys got anything going on during the summer, I'll definitely keep my eye out, because I'm only like 4 or 5 hours north of where y'all jump out of.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, sir. It's great meeting you, and I'm sure we'll talk again here soon.
Still an airborne warrior.
Yes, sir. Airborne all the way.